Hello and welcome to today's video. We're going to go over the best and worst players from 2024 statistically. Just to kind of go over some parameters here, I uh, I would say sloppy is the word. Took very basic stat lines, including all of their seasons, and just compared them. Who were the best players this season? Took the players out that played a large portion of their games in Academy or Challengers, because obviously that's going to nerf some stats. Now, if someone played a couple games in there, or under 20% or so, I still included them. Other things, obviously, players go to Worlds, right, and MSI. So they play tougher competition than a team that may have only played in the regular season. Understandable. So that's why I included games played. So I have games played, KDA, CS per minute, kill participation, share differential, return on investment, and uh, champions played. What? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. We have 6 stats plus games played. Games played kind of limiting the impact that a player may have in other statistical categories because they played tougher competition. Therefore, their stats were harmed a bit. Separated East and West because obviously those regions are different, right? LPL, LCK, LCS, LEC. So in top lane, the best players in the East. Keen, Gen G had the best statistical stat line. Doran, second. Zeus, third. 369, fourth. Zika, fifth. In terms of who the worst were, from fifth worst to the absolute worst, YSKM, Decade, Solo Kill, Hoya, Qingtian. In the West, Photon had the best stat line for team vitality. I say all the time, Photon is a very damn good player. The fact that he's not in a major region this season is a shame. Broken Blade, irrelevant, had a very good season statistically. Mirwin and Bwipo. Worst, Oscarinin, Cabo Shard, Fake God, Licorice, and Sniper. And it's one of those things, too, where people will be like, oh, well, that player shouldn't be in there because stats are lying, this and that. It's like, well, I'm not denying that there's possible stats can be inflate a player and also devalue a player. But we also have to keep in mind, if 4 of the other 5 players in that group are, you say to yourself, those players actually did struggle. Maybe there's more to that than what we're trying to give credit to. Maybe there's some bias and something to think about. Now, in terms of statistically, who are the best and the worst in the top lane? KDA, Keen had a 4. Zuan for IG, 1.3. Doodoo, 8.5 CS per minute for the KDF Freaks. Zuan, 6.6. Juice for RNG had the best KP at 61.8. Decade the worst at 45.4. Rich had the best return on investment and share differential for Dignitas, 1.64 and 5.6 respectively. In terms of lowest, Qingtian, 1 damage per gold, and Solo Kill actually a negative 5% share differential. He had 5% less of his team's damage than he received in gold. Kana, widest champion pool, played 13 champions in 21 games for KC. Been the least, 17 and 149. And you may say, yeah, but that's a lot of games played. That's why. There are players with a shit ton of games played that played more champions and therefore had a higher champion per game rate. And you could say, yeah, but, he didn't have to play other things. Okay, that's fine, but I'm going to give credit to the players that are willing to go outside of the box more so than a player that may not be willing to. Jungle Roll. Top players, Meteor from LGD actually led the way. He had a super nasty stat line. JJ, Kanavi, Beshwan, and Glyphs. Ironically, top 5 all LPL. Lowest 5, Sponge of DRX, Lucid, D plus Kia, Gideon of Brion, Hang, and Tianjin. In the West, the best 5, Blabber, Boogie, Spica, Inspired, and Yike. 5 worst, Douglas, Isma, Closer, Armeo, and Peach. Sorry about the cat in the background. He's just a whiny little pain in the ass. Statistically, Canyon, best KDA 5.7. Bo, the worst 1.7. CS per minute, Lan 7.2. Closer, only 5 for KC. KP, Peach, 79% for Giants X. Shun, 68.6 for BLG. Return on investment, Tarzan, 1.4, benefiting from only playing in summer. Won't lie about that. Peach, 0.85. Share differential, Hung, negative 5. Oh, well, yeah, worst is Hung, negative 5.6. But JJ, positive 1.1 share differential in the jungle. Bo, 10 champions, 18 games. And Owner, 22 champions and 174 games. Mid lane, top 5, Chovy, Rookie, BDD, Bulldog, Fofo. And that's going to surprise a lot of people because a lot of people, really, Bulldog's up there, Fofo's up there, BDD. Statistically, across those stats, pretty good. The reason why I limit those stats, and I think it's a good point to mention that, and maybe I should have mentioned it off the rip, but whatever. The reason why I limited the stats is because the LPL does not offer the diffies or the vision efficiency stats for spring. And without those, I can't include it for just summer and then compared to everybody else. So that is a thing. 5 worst, Cryan, Care, Fate, Tangwan, and Nenny. In the West, the top 5, Quad, Humanoid, Mask, Quid, and Caps. This cat is something. I'm trying to get to the break here. 5 lowest, Vethio, Frescowi, Dove, Palafox, Insanity. In terms of statistics, Chovy 6.1, KDA, Fisher and Mask 2.6, Chovy 10.1 CS per minute, Tangwan 8.4. Keep in mind, Tangwan did have some support games, and that really fucked up his stats. Larson for Rogue 73.9% KP, Frescowi 56.2. Rookie for Nip, led in ROI 1.82. Frescowi 1.32, the least. Fofo 7.9% share differential. Nenny only 0.3. Saken 11 out of 18, and there's that cat. He's upset. 11 out of 18 games. And then Cream only 15 champions and 139. Now, just 1 second. We're going to go to the second half of this board, and yeah, I'll be back in a second. All right, when I was changing this board, I realized I think I may have screwed up and skipped some things. So, in case I did skip, because the cat was throwing me off, the 5 worst junglers this season, statistically, Douglas, Isma, Closer, Armeo, and Peach. In terms of the West, mid laners, Quad, Humanoid, Mask, Quid, Caps were the 5 best. The 5 worst, Vethio, Frescowi, Dove, Palafox, Insanity. Just to cover some bases here. I don't remember if I mentioned that. So just an extra little cut in this video. Now on to actually the second half. Now, so for bot lane, 5 strongest statistically. Viper aiming, Wanfeng, which is always a shock to many, but I say it all the time. Statistically, he is a monster. Deft and Starry. In terms of the worst in the East, LWX, Prince, the Snake, who played for EDG, Showy, and Bull. West, 5 strongest. Sven, Supa, Yeon, FBI, Upset. 5 lowest, Bevoy, Rahel, Meech, Exakik, and Comp. Stat-wise. So, Pays, 7.6, best KDA. Envy, 2.1, the worst. Rahel, 10.4, CS per minute, the highest. He benefits more than likely because he played in summer and it was not the Senna meta. Meech, the opposite. He played the majority of his games in spring, therefore a 7.5 CS per minute. You could say, why do you have CS in there knowing the Senna meta affected things? Well, we need some stats. So, I said it wasn't the cleanest stat line I could come up with. On, led in KP, 77.7% for IG. Prince, the lowest, under 60% for Team Wii. Kepler of LGD, 1.73 return on investment, which led the way. Flacked, 1.3 for Team Heretics. Viper, 7% more damage than Gold, and Bull, only 1%. Rahel, 9 champions, 19 games. Elk, 17 and 149. Support, 5 strongest. Carria, Barrel, Mako, Life, and Kellen. Yes, Kellen's up there. Many people don't like Kellen. Kellen is a very good player. Statistically, he's excellent. 5 lowest, Niket, Vampire, Mark, Giger, and Jin Zhao. In the West, Vulcan, Busio, Trimby, June, and Isles were the 5 best statistically. 5 worst, Alvaro, Ole, Targamas, Zolis, Labrav. Maybe Labrav, really? That bad statistically? In the support role, and even the jungle role, but support, I mean, this is even more important because the jungle role was clearly a carry-oriented meta for half the season, but it does benefit more aggressive supports. Return on investment is definitely an aggression stat, and supports don't necessarily have to be aggressive. Share differential, supports don't necessarily have to have a great share differential to be good. Just some things to think about when we look at this. I make note of it. It is what it is. So, Core JJ, best KDA out of all the supports, 4.6. Zoli's, 1.6. Trimby, 81.1% KP with Heretics. Hillisung, under 65. Life, 0.94. Damage divided by Gold. Niket, 0.59. Life, negative 3.8 share differential, dealing a lot of damage for FPX. Rumble was his most played. Delight, negative 7.1% for HLE, playing more of a traditional role. Luan, 9 champions, 19 games for SK, and Delight only played 17 champions in 124 games for HLE. So, it's definitely an interesting thought experiment, right? Looking at the stats, who actually looked good, who didn't statistically, and keeping in mind that stats only can go so far. If you look at these players, GOL.GG, you'll know what their stats exactly were over the season to get a better understanding. Of course, you could do standard deviation and things like that, and if I was doing this full time, I probably would, but, we got to kind of be loose with it. So, just a thought experiment, though, in the end, like, who do we, there's a reason why I say, oh, this player is statistically very strong, because really, you look at it, they are. And they have been for a while. And it's why I kind of lean towards stats, because stats, some of these players, like Aiming, for example, since like 2020, or even, when he played with PLG, was it 2020? Like, he's been good pretty much the whole time. And, people don't realize it. And there are players like that in every role that are like, oh, well, they've been good for a pretty long time. It's just like, oh, well, stats, this and that. And it's usually from people that, like, I don't know, they don't like backing up their opinions and arguments. And I just find that to be, like, really, I don't know, just weak behavior. But, stats, in my opinion, that's how you form an argument. You have something to back it up. Anything. Or, I know some stats are skewed. Someone brought up, hey, vision efficiency for top lane can be skewed because Jax is Q and this and that. It's like, okay, well, then we look deeper. Let's look at the Jax games. Let's look at who plays Jax. Let's say, okay, are there players that still utilize their wards better on Jax? What does that mean? You take that to the next step. And those sorts of thoughts experiments, I think, are really important. And those are the ones that I want to foster in my community over the, oh, well, I think therefore it is. No, you think therefore it is can be taken to some random ass streamer's Twitch chat where you can just like post memes and shit. That's not kind of how I want to do things. So thank you for watching. Comment down below which players you think maybe statistically are, I don't know, like stats make a player look worse than they are, or stats that make a player look better. And I think that there is a case to be made for either or. For some. So comment down below. Like the video if you like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord. Become a YouTube supporter. And hope to see you again tomorrow.